I said, I need to give this 2 years of my life. I think I have a gut feeling this is going to work. So he said, who's going to buy your masalas? I said, just give me 2 years. If it doesn't work, I'll quit. But I was already 45 years old. I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. So he agreed, and once he agreed, then he gave me his 110% support.
Today, you're going to meet the woman who's behind the success of Sukhi's. I'm going to introduce you to Sukhi herself, who is the founder of the multi-million-dollar company Sukhi's, and she's responsible for bringing Indian food to mainstream America. Sukhi, I am so excited to have you on Confessions of Successful Asian Women.
I am very happy to have you here.
You came from India and you started this company. So tell us about yourself and your journey to how you got here.
So I came to this country, and basically I was a teacher by profession. I did a couple of courses in Berkeley and then started doing substitute teaching. But I found it so different from what we were used to. Most of it I felt was like babysitting, and you can't do this and you can't do that. Not something I was used to, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I said, I'm going to buy a business, and we bought a deli in Oakland. 2 years later, we had the earthquake.
This is the great Loma Prieta earthquake.
Yeah, and all the businesses around us broke their leases and moved out to Pleasanton, Bishop's Ranch here and there. And our business dropped overnight by about $800 a day, which was really killing to us. But in the meantime, I had started serving Indian thali at the deli, and also making up these dry sauces and keeping them on my shelf. That kind of excited me. And also I found that most of our children over here were getting off cooking Indian food. They'd open a cookbook and see a list of 14 ingredients, and that was the end. And they stopped cooking Indian food. They liked eating it, but they didn't want to cook it anymore because it was too labor intensive. So that gave me the idea that I should start making some Indian sauces. So I started selling them all by deli counter. Being new to the country, I didn't even know the rules and regulations over here. And there was a gentleman who used to work in PG&E across the street, and he would come every day for lunch. So he said, oh, so do you know that if you want to sell this, you have to get FDA approvals? And I said, really? I have to get FDA approval to sell it from my deli? So he said, no, if you want to go to the stores. So then I started looking around, finding out what the heck is this FDA approvals mean and all. And a nephew of mine who used to come visit us and stay with us sometimes, he would say, Masi, you've got to do this. You have to do this. You have to get these FDA approvals. I was so busy at that time. I said, Manu, I don't have the time to do it. So he filled up the paperwork, sent it out, got us all the FDA approvals. So when I started doing this, I found I needed to have some add-ons, because just three, it would be the same effort, the same gas, the same card, the same appointment. And if I had some add-ons, the invoice would be larger. So I made some chutneys then. And within 6 months of starting this process, I had 6 products. And for the longest time, we were selling 3 of these and the 3 chutneys with it. We'd go to do a demo and we would sell 15 cases, 14 cases of each of the products and come back. But sitting on the shelf, then they would hardly move. I mean, we didn't know marketing at that time. We just knew that I had a great product and it was a matter of survival. I needed to sell it because the deli by that time was not doing well with all the losses we had over there.
And the deli was American sandwiches?
Yeah, just sandwiches. It was a coffee, breakfast and lunch place. At that time when we bought the deli, we wanted to be home. One person had to be home to send the children off to school. They were young. My son was 8 when we came to the country. And my second daughter was 12. And my elder daughter was 16. So she was old enough, but still, I mean, we were very particular about being home with the children when they were home. And so we bought a business where it would finish at 3 o'clock and then we'd be home for the weekends. But when things went bad, there was nothing we could do about it. We couldn't open up in the evening because Oakland is a dead place in the evening. And we couldn't open up in the weekends because there was not. So it worked against us in that fashion. But in a way, it pushed me in the right direction. So I started making these sauces and selling them. And then we finally got out of the deli, lost our shirt. We bought it for 160 and we sold it for 60,000.
Wow.
So for us who had just brand new come to the country and that was all the money we had, it was a pretty bad experience. I won't say bad, but it was the business school we went to. We learned what not to do.
Right.
And then I told Sundar,
this is your husband.
Yeah. I said, I need to give this 2 years of my life. I think I have a gut feeling this is going to work. So he said, who's going to buy your masalas? I said, just give me 2 years. If it doesn't work, I'll quit. But I was already 45 years old. I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. So he agreed. And once he agreed, then he gave me his 110% support. I found a place in Westgate Business Center. Somebody called me and said, I hear you're looking for a space. I said, how do you know? He said, I don't know. This telephone number was sitting on my table, so I'm calling you. And I know I'm a broker for this space over there. So we took the space over, and that's when we found the farmers market. I said, I've got to give this a shot. We went to Corte Madera Farmers Market. That's the first one I got into.
Because you wanted to test your products with...
Test my products, and I needed some cash to pay all these bills that I was going to run up. And
at that point, you didn't have any money because you had a huge loss. So did you go to a bank to get a loan?
I did try to go to a bank. And Diane Bakowski was very sweet. She said, you know what, write a business plan first. And then I need to see you in business for 2 years. By that time, it was already a year because I was doing it out of the deli. So I have my brother-in-law whom I call my business guru. So I went to him. I said, I need to write a business plan. So he gave me the general this thing. But I needed a lot of statistics as to how much is the growth of Indian food, how do I expect to pay back the loan and all that stuff. But I did. I wrote the plan out, and it was not enough, not really 2 years. I went back to Diane. And
Diane is?
Diane Bakowski was the Bank of California.
Got it.
She gave me a loan. No collateral, nothing. She gave me a $30,000 loan, which I needed for making flap brochures and flyers and labels and whatever else I needed. But we never looked back. We worked very hard. My kids used to come and work in the evenings with me. Weekends, they'd do farmers markets with me.
I have a question to ask you because this is something that I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. And we were talking about why it's hard for Asian women to dream. And there's 4 factors that are involved that prevent us from following our dreams or to dream bigger. And the 4 factors are culture, confidence, childcare, and cash. What would you say helped you to follow your dreams? Even though you had these 4 things, you sound like you're very confident.
You know, that I was never short of. I was never afraid of failing. That's the other big thing.
Did you ever want to be that perfect child? Because, you know, in the Indian, Asian culture, you want to be the perfect child. You want to make your parents proud. You do everything right. You get good grades. Did you ever have that?
I had never had good grades.
So for you, it's like, whatever.
Never. I couldn't go back. I mean, there was nothing I could do worse than what was happening, you know.
And your parents never yelled at you?
No. My mother used to be very upset with me, but she's the one who pushed me out of the country to come here. She said, you get out to the US, because I was very street smart. I always did stuff. I wasn't bookish intelligent, but otherwise as soon as I did my BA and I went to masters. I did my masters in English literature. My classes used to finish at 9. I took a job in the Indian Institute of Petroleum.
Were you married at the time?
No.
Okay.
I was only 18 years old. So, and then I would do that and I would go to work. Then I used to come home and do tuitions in the evening. I mean, I was always doing something.
So you always had this entrepreneurial spirit.
Always.
Because the tuitions you were charging for
Though
these
I
kids
didn't
to
keep
come?
the money because
Right.
I used to give all the money to my mother because
Right.
she herself was a doctor. And I used to say, I mean, she bought me the scooter to go to work. And she always encouraged me. That way, my father also always encouraged. And I was very lucky when I got married. My husband also always encouraged me to do whatever I wanted. He always said, like when we were planning to do this, and he said, "Who's going to buy your masalas?" I said, "I need to do it for 2 years." And then he gave me his 100%, help. Anyway, he did all the accounting, the finances, everything. I mean, I did the cooking and all that stuff. So I was very lucky in the atmosphere around me too. My mother-in-law also, whenever she'd come, she used to, when we were developing the products, I used to go in the morning to the deli and I used to write down certain formulas. She used to make them and keep them. And in the evening, then we used to test them to see which one is right, which one is wrong. She also helped me throughout. She would, every time she'd come from India, those 2 months, the business would take another jump, and I had a very positive atmosphere around me to help me. My mother was a doctor. So she was of that class of woman.
So she was a role model to
Yeah.
you because
So
she was a working woman.
she was a working woman, and she always encouraged. When in 1959 she went to do her ZGO in Vienna, when women never went
Wow.
anywhere.
Wow.
Right? And when she gave, every time we wanted to do something, like get into NCC or do this thing, she was always encouraging me, go. There was no, I was the tomboy of the house, but she never made it as put down to me. It was always that, she's stronger, she can do stuff, and they always encouraged me. So everybody asked me this question, you're very positive, but I never had any other thoughts in my mind. I always felt there's some way I can do this. Let me try to do it this way. Let me try to do it this way.
So for you, going back to the 4 C's, which are confidence, cash, childcare, and culture, you somehow were able to incorporate everything in this
Yes.
business.
Confidence was there. Cash was not there. The culture also, Indian women are Indian women. We're always trying to prove we're superwoman, right?
Right. Yes.
Which is a big issue, but it always, that is where I used to, I think you're right when you say that, trying to, you want to be the best or you want to do something better. I always was trying to prove that I could do it all.
Right.
And be the housewife also, do the parties at home also, do this business
And then
also.
make 5 meals and right. And
So,
have 100 people in your house.
That's true.
Right.
And every time there used to be an event, and I would say, no, I'm going to cook the food myself. And then my kids also started saying, Mom, what is this? Get the food from outside. But no, we have to do it ourselves. But confidence, yes. Cash, you can work around the cash. I mean, nowadays it's so much easier. At that time it was difficult, but you still, if you had dignity of labor, I think that was the biggest thing the other thing was, I didn't have any, I was a master's. I had my master's in English literature and all, but I wasn't a doctor, or I wasn't something.
Which is like
that
the
becomes
respectable
exactly
profession
and
for
they also
Indian
become,
families.
when you become something big like that, it becomes a barrier to do other things.
What would you say was the best investment you made?
I had this place in San Leandro, and we had a fire. I just built it about 8 months ago, and we had a fire, and the next, suddenly I had to find other places to work out of, and I found a place in Hayward, only our old production unit. This guy used to make food for Lucky's at that time, and not Costco, Lucky's and some other places. He made fish salads and all. And I went to him and I got him to help me to make my chutneys and bottle them because I didn't have a kitchen anymore. So anyway, he went out of business. And one of the people who used to get him to make stuff for him called me and said, Sukhi, he's going out of business. And I need my stuff to be made. Can you make it for me? I said, I can't because I don't have a USDA facility. But then I went there and I found that this guy owed a lot of money. And so at that time, we paid off all his debts and took over the plant. And my husband said, how are you going to manage this? You're keeping on increasing your running costs. I said, okay, well, let's keep it for a year. If we can't grow into it, we'll let it go. We only signed a lease for 1 year. And 100,000 was going to be our investment to it. But of course, we never went back. We just took over the place. That was the best investment we made because immediately I could start selling meat, which previously I couldn't do.
It was all vegetarian.
It was all vegetarian. I didn't have a USDA approval. So this plant came with the USDA approval.
What is some of the bad advice that you hear, and then what is the proper advice that you would give to someone who's looking to start his own thing or her own thing? Like a lot of times people have in their minds that I'm going to become big overnight.
I haven't really seen anybody become big overnight. Everybody has to work to it. Doesn't matter if they have money or whatever. But yeah, that's the way when people say that, why don't you mentor people and tell them what to do? It's very difficult to tell people what to do.
You get asked to mentor a lot?
Yeah, we do. And there are a lot of people that I've helped them not do the wrong thing for themselves. There's a lady in Chevron who wanted to start this dosa batter in the American stores and all. I said, you won't be able to do it. You can do it in the Indian stores because they are concentrated in a certain area and you will have a volume moving out of there. But if you think you're going to Santa Cruz to deliver dosa batter, it has a certain life, the system of distribution is very tough. But I said, don't set up your own place. You can use my place and give this for your, commissary.
She had this creative spark.
Yeah. But, people have this.
Yes.
But there's a long way between a good product and being able to sell it in the market.
Yes.
It's a very long journey. My husband would always say, he says, you don't even keep your recipes a secret. I said, it's not the recipe. It's getting there to sell it. The marketing is the main thing. Tons of people have good recipes and good products, but how you market the product is what really makes it.
What's your secret to good marketing?
The product needs to be good.
Right.
Again, these are things as we learned as we went along. I had the first label was lemon color with green on top, and it sat on the shelves and nobody noticed it. Your packaging has to be really, really good.
Because right now it's orange.
Right now, you see, it catches your attention as soon as you go in. That we went to about 15 years down in the marketplace. Somebody, we hired somebody also. He was with another company that they had sold. And he said, you need to hire this design people from San Francisco. His company's name was Gogger and Company. We went to San Francisco for 7 days, and he talked to us for an hour and talked to us and wrote down notes and then came up with this design. Even after Bob came in, he's changed it a little bit, but the main thing stays. The colors and the name stays the same.
How much of luck plays into your success and hard work?
Hard work is 80%. But the other 20% is very important too. To be at the right time at the right place is very important also. We did the farmers markets. We got Whole Foods buyer walking down. And in San Francisco, he gave his card to my vendor there and said, tell this lady to get in touch with me. I had hired one girl, my daughter's friend, and I sent her for sales to Florida Whole Foods. And she went there and the buyer over there said, give me ready-made Indian entrees at this price. But then she said, it's such a huge opportunity, we need to do it. So we sat down and then I did figure out a process we could do it. We could give dals, we could give, curry items. We didn't have to get dry stuff. And we got her, within 10 days, the product was on her table. And since then, we are in all the food service units in Whole Foods everywhere.
How do you take care of yourself? You seem like a person who's very positive, fearless, courageous. Do you ever burn out?
I mean, people say, how do you sleep 4 or 5 hours a night? My children insist that I don't sleep enough. I said, I don't need to. Why should I? I don't feel exhausted. I'm very lucky that way. I had both my knees operated upon, one 14 years ago and one 8 years ago. And I went around all the, Chicago, flying out in the snow in Peru, Peralta and all with crutches. But it never upset me. I never felt, this is something I can't do.
What is your definition of success?
What to me is success is when what you do has value out there. People say you're making money. I said no. If people don't pay for what you can do, it is not the right thing. It's not the money that I want, but it's a proof of the fact that what you're doing makes sense and it is good.
And the world needs it.
And the world needs it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's every time, I in between when I used to work 14, 15 hours, I say, oh, so why are you working so much now? You don't need to do it. I said, it's not a question of money. It is a question of the fact that I have so much in my head which I know I can put out there. The proof is when people buy it, pay money for it, that means that, they think it worthwhile. So that to me is what is success. What you do has value to other people.
Thank you. This has been wonderful, and I love the sparkle in your eye. I saw you at a holiday party, and you were dancing, and you were doing bhangra, and then it clicked in my mind. That's Sukhi, and I need to get her on my show. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
If you enjoyed the conversation today, don't forget to leave me an iTunes review and check out other episodes at confessionsofsuccessfulasianwomen.com.